I'm not sure what I'm about to see. But I'm pretty excited about it. Please welcome Babymetal.
Welcome to Polishing Turds with Nick and Cal. Nick desu.
Cal desu.
Kono bangami de wa wari ongaku ni sete harasu.
That was perfect.
That was perfect.
That was amazing.
That definitely didn't make every native Japanese speaker throw their phone against the wall.
If I was a Japanese guy, I would consider that the old college try. That was pretty good.
It's like nice A, like whatever the Japanese equivalent of A for effort is.
Yeah.
They just like I hope that man like just politely bowed.
You know, in Japanese rankings, you can get above A and it's an S ranking.
Yes.
And I think that was specifically because of A for effort. Effort only gets you so far.
No, that was not an S tier.
Yeah, combine effort with talent, and now you have S.
No, but you know what? If you were offended by that, I actually have to blame our audience in part, Cal, because I put out a little last minute thing, a plea on our Instagram story. And I said, hey, I'm trying to translate our, usual tagline into Japanese for a stupid bit. And, can you get some help, please? And nobody heeded the call, Cal. So is that not an indictment of the selfish, late capitalist hellscape that we all live in?
You know, why aren't we big in Japan? Never Japan.
I think, Cal, it's because we're not wearing cute Gothic Lolita dresses, and we need to start doing that because, surprise bitches, the group that we are going to talk about did do that, and they are massively successful. I am, of course, talking about Babymetal, one of the most unique, successful, and polarizing metal bands in the modern universe, and today we begin a 3, maybe 4-part series on Babymetal. Cal, do you want to repeat to the audience what you told me earlier about your intention going through this series?
Yeah, you will not be able to convince me that this band is good.
Okay. Bold claim.
I'm going in less blind than normal on a lot of our series.
Mm-hmm.
But as you all know by now, diehard metalhead, I struggle with this band. I don't know.
When did they first come under your radar? Because for me, it was very late.
Pretty late, actually, too. Maybe like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Okay.
Although time keeps moving faster, it could possibly be 4 or 5. But
who knows?
I don't remember how, though. I'm going back in the memory banks. I want to say it was YouTube algorithm shit. I don't have a good story. I think it was something stupid.
I think it would have been something similar for me. I think it was in the context in which I heard them was something like this group is one of the most hated and has the most rabid fans. And I think I remember seeing a YouTuber saying he was afraid to criticize them because of how rabid their fan base is.
And that's not a surprise to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, this does combine two very popular things in Japan.
Yes. And that's the whole point. And we'll get into, why they chose to make that combination over the course of this series and how different are those two things in the grand scheme of things. Who knows? We might come to some interesting conclusions about that.
You know what it is? It's like, have you ever heard of a peanut butter and banana sandwich?
I used to eat that shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that like someone says it to you and you're like, what? Nah. And then you try it and you're like,
it actually kind of works.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Stand corrected.
And then that's kind of my take on Babymetal. Like, I don't know if I love it. Like, I don't know if I'll like listen to it on my own, but for me, it actually kind of works.
Well, that's actually what I'm trying to get around to is when I say you're not going to convince me they're good. You're not going to get me to have this in my playlist.
They're coming to Chicago in a month if you want to
See,
go.
I don't want to go.
If I had free tickets, Cal, and you didn't have to work the next day.
And what everyone's going to find is I do think they have hired members in this band that have musical talent. That is a fact.
Yes.
My struggle is more with how nakedly corporate it is and the idol culture that you're going to get into today.
Yes, and there's definitely, a lot to talk about there. And then, of course, before we really dive into this thing, I got to make my obligatory and also comically unnecessary disclaimer that this is the first Japanese band that we've ever covered. I can't remember the last time, maybe besides Tattoo, that we covered a band that doesn't primarily sing in English. Mm-hmm. So, this is, of course, is going to mean that Cal and I, two white guys from Wisconsin, are going to have to say a lot of Japanese words and a lot of Japanese names and talk about things and places and events in Japan that we know basically nothing about. But I want you to know that if I ever pronounce a word in Japanese or a sentence like I did 5 minutes ago, whatever I said, that is correct. That is the way it's supposed to be pronounced. I don't care if you are a native Japanese speaker or you are from Japan. Whatever you are saying inside your own head is wrong. And even if I pronounce the same word 2 different ways in the span of 2 minutes, I'm correct both times.
That's right.
It the meaning and the pronunciation of that word changed between the time I pronounced it wotage and the time I pronounced it wotagai. And I just hope that you find it in your heart to humble yourself and accept that.
Well said. Trump's president now, guys.
Trump's president. Reality,
we are always right.
Reality is meaningless. Little girls are the embodiment of metal. That's where it's at, people.
And me and Nick are Kawaii.
Yes. So, for those of you that don't know, Babymetal are a so-called Kawaii metal band made up of 3 cute Japanese girls who sing pop melodies and perform choreographed dances to heavy metal music. Now, the fusion of these 2 seemingly opposite aesthetics might sound like a joke, but over the last decade or so, Babymetal have amassed a gigantic worldwide following, becoming one of the most best-selling metal bands of the modern age and arguably Japan's most significant musical export of all time. All of this, of course, is much to the chagrin of metal purists like Cal.
I gotta say, though, on the spectrum of bands that upset metal guys, they're not as high as you'd think.
Yeah.
The Venn diagram of rabid baby metal fan and heavy metal purist doesn't overlap quite that much.
Yeah, I mean,
if anything, they're converting pop people to the concept of metal more than the other way around.
And that is actually the argument that Babymetal's fans and defenders make all the time, is that this is, for most people, their first introduction to Babymetal, much the same way that I had to admit Good Charlotte was, for many people, their introduction to punk rock.
That's a good analogy. As far as bands taking more heat from metal, it's Ghost gets it way worse.
I'm sure, yeah, because
they stole the look, but not the sound, and that's different.
Ghost isn't making as much of an attempt to authenticate their sound in the metal world as we'll kind of see Babymetal really does over the course of time.
Their metal's not bad, to be honest.
No, and they went to a lot of lengths, down the road to try to beef up their metal street cred while not really compromising the overall spirit of the group. But, one of the things I want to also say at the outset is that I'm so mad that we say this all the time, Cal, but this is, you really gotta see what the visual of this band presents in order to really understand why it's so weird.
Yeah, because you're not just making that up. They have highly choreographed dancing.
Yes.
Throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
So he's not just saying that because that's true. You kind of need to see it.
And the outfits, it started out a lot cutesier than I think it is today, but it's really it's a very specific fashion sense that's trying to go after that kawaii anime cuteness while also being very dark and evil at the same time.
That sounds weird, but you all know a girl who dressed like that.
Yeah. Oh my God, for sure. No, she wants to talk about how like sad and edgy and non-conforming she is while also like, trolling her DMs for people talking about how cute she is. That is 100% Cal.
It's a mix of goth and LOL random humor.
Yes, 100%.
Or Invader Zim humor.
Yeah. No, that's a massive trope. And I think if you Google Babymetal right now, if you've never seen this group, the first time that I saw that, and the first time that I think most people see an image or a video of Babymetal playing, your reaction seeing them for the first time is going to be like, what the fuck am I looking at? Mm-hmm. It almost feels like an exercise in trolling or like a joke, but you're not supposed to laugh at the joke. Maybe even just an embodiment of like this fucking AI slop, postmodern, meaningless, like hellscape that we just talked about where words just don't fucking mean anything anymore.
Smash any genres together.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
My YouTube feed for a while was like nothing but like these AI generated Dr. Dre, but it's doo-wop in the 50s. Yeah. Or like Nirvana, but it's set in medieval Italy. Like just complete hack nonsense that I'm sure like 35-year-old bartenders in Janesville, Wisconsin will yuck up because it's, one-dimensionally funny.
I just remember when I first saw it thinking like, who is this for?
Who is this for?
I assumed both groups would hate it. I assumed the idol-worshipping Japanese fans would hate it. I assumed metalheads would hate it. What we got was kind of the opposite of both fans found a way to meet in the middle regarding this group.
No, and that is really the miracle of Babymetal. This one early article by the Guardian kind of struck me as like kind of embodying like the way that I initially felt about Babymetal. And they wrote, quote, "Babymetal represent the moment when irony is banished forever."
Right? Because can you satire or parody something like Babymetal?
No, it's just
we've reached peak. I don't even know what we're doing anymore. Music.
It's a joke that people laugh at. We're going to get to a point where, Cal, I'm not comparing Babymetal to this thing I'm about to say, but like, we're going to get to the point, Cal, where people are going to be eating their own shit. And it's going to be like a TikTok influencer. There's going to be like a top 10 reasons you should eat your own shit. Like I swear, like, I will put money on this, Cal. We're only like
I can see that.
We're 3 to 5 years away from this at most.
If you eat a lot of nuts, then it comes out solid enough. You could get 10% more of the nutrients back that your body didn't take the first time. Just wash it off good enough.
That's way more sophisticated than I think the final.
They're just pick it up and eat it.
It's like it's gonna like amass your like carbonitratic energy, bro.
Yeah, it's gonna make shit up.
Like
if your esophagus is coated with your own bacteria, it'll prevent bad bacteria.
Yeah, but the point is like you're gonna see a video of somebody on TikTok eating their own shit, and you're gonna turn to like somebody, like waiting in line at the post office wherever, and like be like, "Can you believe this?" And they're like, "What? You haven't heard about that?
Yeah.
You haven't heard you're supposed to eat your own shit?"
Why do you think I'm chewing gum? I just did it like 20 minutes ago.
So yes, in one sense, Babymetal represent the death of irony, but perhaps the real irony is that for all their seeming incongruities, Babymetal actually kind of works. As we said, the production and instrumentation are on point, and their live shows demonstrate a theatrical imagination that's as strong as any act in the hard rock canon. Moreover, much like ICP, Babymetal have developed their own mythological lore that at times resembles a religion, complete with a massive cult following that will go to great lengths to prove their devotion. So over the course of this series, we're going to do our best to understand Babymetal and what makes them work. Is it really just a cheap gimmick that got taken too far, or is there more to the story? How did 3 seemingly innocent Japanese girls hack the algorithm for global domination?
Are we in for 6 concept albums in a row?
They've already put out 1 concept album.
Oh my God, it's starting.
Is the fox god the true religion of mankind? But more importantly, are you ready, Calvin-san?
Hey!
Hey, let's polish this turd!
So
Yeah. You were saying, as we were watching that, Cal, that only the Japanese could come up with something like that. I think you're right.
their whole version of metal is subtly different, and we'll have to work on putting our finger on that through the series.
Mm-hmm.
You can almost always tell when a metal band you put on is a Japanese metal if you listen to enough metal. I guess most people don't do that, but
yeah, we'll in the next episode, I think we'll try to be able to more pin down exactly what that is. But just even like music aside, like just who comes up with this idea? Like who has like three cute little like dolls of teenage girls like dancing around to that sound that you just heard?
Yeah, it's one of those things you just would not think goes together.
Yeah, and to commit to it too. That's really the amazing thing, is that this didn't just like die as some kind of flash in the pan, viral hit. Like,
gimmick band or something.
Became a career for these people. All right, but we will get to all of that in the fullness of time. Right now, I want to break down like how this series is going to work. And you guys know, I believe that context is everything. And that's why we're going to begin this by going all the way back to the Edo period and studying the entire history of Japan and the economic boom of the 80s. No, we're gonna start like by basically breaking Babymetal down into their two component parts, i.e., Japanese pop idol music and Japanese heavy metal music. And I can tell you for sure that Cal is excited to talk about at least one of these things.
When we get to the metal shit, I'm going to have a hard time not overpowering. I told myself, tone it down.
I want you to overpower me, Cal.
Yeah, but no, do people really need to know how the band GISM started?
A complete sidebar. I heard somewhere it's actually pronounced GISM.
I actually believe that. Because GISM they started before that became a slang here for a man's cum. I mean,
we should, if we're being, just like responsible comedians, we should just say GISM because it's more entertaining. But I digress. We're definitely going to talk about that band in our next episode, whether it's relevant or not. Like I love GISM. Take that out of context as much as you want. I love GISM. I love GISM, the band. And you should too, because they sound like a diseased rat having a nightmare.
They really do. They really do.
So but this episode is gonna mainly focus on the Japanese idol industry, because it is from that fascinating and frankly fucked up world that Babymetal emerged, and I am both excited and a little bit terrified to talk about it. But first, let's real quick give all of you a primer on Babymetal, the band. So Babymetal were formed in Tokyo, Japan in 2010. Their initial lineup consisted of lead vocalist Suzuka Nakamoto, aka Su Metal, backup singer Moa Kikuchi, aka Moa Metal, and backup singer Yui Mizuno, who's called Yui Metal. In 2018, Yui Metal left the group and was eventually replaced by a new member that they call Momo Metal. So there's Moa Metal and Momo Metal, which is definitely not going to be confusing.
No. Plus, Yui for life. Let's be real here.
There are like thousands of real life people that will write you handwritten cards thanking you for that, Cal. So be careful what you say.
Don't attack me.
And you could also probably get death threats.
I was just going to say, I know nothing. It was a throwaway joke.
But we'll get into that in later episodes. Right now, basically, I just want to convey that it's those three vocalists, and it's mainly Sue Metal doing the lead vocals, and the other two do what is called in the liner notes "scream and dance."
I love that.
That's their official title.
I kind of love that.
They get paid more than the worth of your company, Cal, to do scream and dance.
I wish Slipknot would be honest about the members. He Dancer is essentially the name of some of those members.
Hangs around and wears this mask with the spikes on it.
Bangs on trash cans for one song, and then mostly just stands around on stage.
Yeah, for real. So it's really Sue Metal doing the lead vocals. The other two have bit parts. Sometimes they sing, but that's kind of how the trio functions. And on stage, Babymetal are backed by a group of touring musicians who are called the Kami Band. The Kami Band wear white robes and corpse paint to resemble Japanese spirits, and despite numerous lineup changes over the years, they are generally quite good.
That's why I was being careful at the start. I don't want to talk any shit about the Kami Band.
No, and
they're good musicians.
No, they're playing live. They can crush it. They know what they're doing.
Well, and they're the Babymetal I did watch before, long before we did this series. Mm-hmm. I caught myself going wow, they're really good. Could I get into this? And asking myself that.
That just became, do I need to be an engineer?
Yeah.
How do I get into this shit? No, I'm sure there are a lot of people that are lining up for that type of gig. The guy from Five Finger Death Punch started out as a touring guitarist for Mandy Moore.
Oh yeah, there's a whole documentary on studio musicians called Hired Guns on Netflix. Check it out.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. It's really good.
Yeah, I know. They're the unsung heroes of the industry.
No, 100%. Although they may be unsung by man, but in Babymetal mythology, the Kami Band were actually summoned by this entity called the Fox God. The Fox God is this all-powerful spirit that gives Babymetal all their inspiration and creativity, and has entrusted Babymetal with the mission to go and spread their heavy metal to help conquer the universe. We'll get into the liturgy later, but just know, Cal, because this could have life or death consequences later on, that the Fox God summoned the Kami Band specifically to protect Babymetal as they go out and perform their shows.
This sounds a lot like the plot to Naruto. And I know you don't know, but take my word on it.
Okay, I would assume that more of our fans than not get that. I sadly have not seen Naruto, but
I wish I could be oh, you got to get on that, but no, you don't. Your life will move on.
Okay.
Naruto's fine, but a lot of filler, a lot of anime bullshit.
Okay, is it as much filler as the old school TVZ?
Yes, it's exactly that much.
Okay, so I just gotta quit my job and get into this shit.
Or maybe some guy made a nice YouTube compilation of just the best parts of the whole series for you.
Okay. But regardless, before the Fox God and the Kami Band got involved with Babymetal, Sue, Moa, and Yui were part of a Japanese teen idol group called Sakura Gakuin. We'll dive into the history of Sakura Gakuin later, but first, Cal, I want to show you a clip of this group performing live in Tokyo in 2010. And I want you to pay attention not just to the aesthetics of the performance, but also what their audience looks like.
This would be perfect for my death metal band. Oh my god, Nick.
Someone thought that, Cal. We'll get into who that guy is later, but once in a while, God plants a seed of genius in one single solitary individual.
Watching that only deepens the mystery.
By the way, we're not going to do a whole lot of musical inserts in this episode, and that's mostly because Japanese idol music is just the exact sort of generic garbage.
No, yeah,
that you
it all
expect.
sounds like what you just heard.
Yeah, it's like you're not going to really be diving into the chord progressions or the lyrical genius of some of these songs. But did you notice, Cal, like who is at this festival and what they look like? I'm going to spoil it for you. It's all pretty much guys our age.
Yeah, which is fucked.
Yeah, we'll get into that aspect a little bit later. But like, just picture like it's this group of 10 or 12 teenage 13 to 17-year-old girls singing like just silly saccharine drivel music.
Yeah, you know what it feels like? It feels like child beauty pageants in the South taken to an even more absurd degree than it already was.
I didn't like make that connection, Cal, but that's probably the closest analogy I could come up with of like, you know, this thing in our culture is so embarrassing. I hope the rest of the world doesn't find out about it. I hope there are Japanese people that feel that way about the idol industry. But anyway, like we have to explain what an idol is, because Sakura Gakuin are not an ordinary pop group the way that we in the West would understand it. They are a Japanese idol group. But what is an idol and how is it different from a regular pop star? Is this something you knew anything about, Cal?
The only reason I did is I watched a anime movie called Perfect Blue.
Yes,
And
I still have to watch that.
Oh my God. Yeah, you have to watch it. Excellent movie. It has some intense scenes. I don't recommend watching it in your living room with the drapes open at night when the lights are on. I was thinking about that.
Yeah,
there was a very intense...
You don't want somebody calling the cops
right.
on you.
No, there was an intense essay scene, and it's in cartoon.
Yeah.
And I just caught myself thinking, like, you know, out of context, if someone was like walking their dog by my house,
Hey!
this would look really
You want
fucked
to come in
up.
for a beer?
I actually did go close my blinds. I was like, this is fucked up. But anyway, super tangent. It's a whole movie about an idol, and then she has a stalker who's a much older, ugly weirdo. Mm-hmm. The film's not really about the horrors of the idol industry.
Yeah.
She's just a convenient plot piece, but it taught me all about the idol industry.
Yeah.
Well, should I let you get into it or should I spoil?
I'm gonna challenge
All
myself,
right.
Cal, to watch this before the next episode, and then I'll give you.
Oh, I didn't even mean spoil the movie. I spent spoil our script.
It was spoiled before we even started started reading it.
I mean, just think of like the Disney Kids Club, like Justin Timberlake and Britney.
Yeah, that's
Take that, but take it to the next level, the intense Japanese level.
that's kind of like what I was thinking about too. Is like this is like just. If Mickey Mouse Club was just like even more hardcore and it wasn't kids watching it exclusively and like it just got taken to like really deranged and quasi-sexual levels.
Do a thought experiment. You're an executive and you need to sell a product to a bunch of 30-year-old men. And you think to yourself, I want a literal 15-year-old girl I am selling as the product.
Mm-hmm.
That's the level it's at. They're not really people anymore once you become an idol.
It's like if Hannah Montana was directed by Quentin Tarantino or something. It's just like really, really dark. The best way that I would summarize it is that idols are a product of a well-oiled corporate machine that selects and trains young talent and markets them in a way that deliberately fosters a parasocial relationship with their audience. So it's like that idea that why that girl in Perfect Blue got a stalker, and that happens tons of times in real life.
Because she's not an artist. She's your artist.
Yes, and like the whole point of this industry is that she is supposed to be your artist, your Oshi, if you will. You're supposed to develop this sense that you know this person, that you love this person, that this person loves you, even though they've never met you. And somehow everyone in the audience feels that exact same way. And it's just like, you know, there are parallels to the pop music world. People do end up accidentally feeling that way about Demi Lovato or Taylor Swift, but it's not the point of that music. It's not as on the nose as it is with idol music. Like with idol music, like they are going straight for the jugular. What makes for a good idol is not necessarily how talented they are at singing or dancing. It's their kawaii, their cuteness, and this idea that they're this like kind of perfect, idealized creature that
get
can do no
like
wrong.
Britney or something. That's what we tried to do with Britney here.
Yeah, think of like 1999 Britney, where like she really was seen or marketed as this perfect figure. If they had kept that up for as long as possible and believed it even more religiously than we had back then, that's the closest analog that I think we could think of. So you see idols everywhere in Japan. They're in music videos, they perform on stage, they're in TV, they're in magazines. There's whole entire magazines devoted to nothing but idols. There's entire brick and mortar stores in Tokyo that sell nothing but headshots of idols. And there are people who spend fucking tens of thousands of dollars of their money on that type of merch.
So I think that's fucking insane. And then I remembered, like, I had a whole bunch of like Mayhem posters. I was like, is that really that different?
But like, Cal, imagine that like you as a married man, like, it's like, hey Cal, where'd the money for daughter's college tuition
I have
go?
6 more Christina Aguilera posters I had to buy.
Yeah, it's like, no, I had to buy 16 copies of the same single because one of them might have a ticket to a handshake event where I might get to meet her and tell her that I love her more than my family. Like, that's only like a 5% exaggeration of what happens to a lot of men in Japan.
Yeah, we're laughing at it, but that is a legitimate thing out there.
No, like this thing is insane, and that's why like I devoted an entire first episode to talking about this. So just like for the sake of fleshing this out a little bit, there are male and female idol groups, but we're actually going to be talking more about the female groups because like that's where the Babymetal came from. And as far as I could tell, that's where a lot of the more fucked up shit happens. Surprise, surprise. Now, part of the appeal of being an idol fan, an idol otaku, is that because these idols start out so young in these groups, you get to kind of watch them grow up in real time. If you're following an idol group over the course of 3 or 4 years, you're going to see, a young adolescent become a teenager, become something close to an adult.
Yeah, super Miley Cyrus-y.
Yeah, like a little Miley Cyrus-y, like...
Is it okay to say she's hot yet?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like hot. Like, it's like, I mean, there's that. There's a sexual element for sure. But it's also like this idea that like you have somebody who is perfectly innocent, pure, uncorrupted. Like they're not supposed to date. Like the idea of like these idols don't have sex so that you can project in your imagination that you might be the white knight that saves them someday. Like it's essential to be able to nurse that specific fantasy.
I guess that is one important line of distinction too, is like they don't dress them like Western sexy. They're not out there in skimpy stuff.
Sometimes they do.
It's a lot more, it's like schoolgirly or like uniformy.
Yeah, it is closer to like they're trying to find this nexus between girlhood and womanhood and strike the exact right balance.
I guess what I'm trying to say is like toxic era Britney with like the little bikinis and the snake around her. You wouldn't see that. No, that's not part of it. It's they're innocent.
Yes, the innocence is perhaps more than any other word like essential for what makes idols work.
Which, yes, that adds a layer of creepiness to this, at least for me.
No, it definitely does. But if you're an idol fan, you watch these young women kind of develop over time. You get a sense of their personality, and you develop a favorite, and that favorite is called your oshi. I forget the exact names, but like in Japanese, they have like specific slangs for idol fans who don't have an oshi, like who like say, like, oh, I like everybody.
What
like,
about the flip side of that? What if, let's say you're in a girl group of 5. Do they criticize you if you don't have enough male fans that you're their oshi? Like if you're Joey Fatone from NSYNC, is there a problem?
I haven't done any research on this specific aspect, but just knowing how the way that the world works, I would expect that there's probably a lot of cattiness inside like the idol backstage. It's probably like a strip club in terms of like just how there's like backstabbing and internal fighting. Maybe not. Maybe they all love each other. But you just have to think human nature being what it is. Yeah. I'm sure they're always like bragging to each other, trying to one up each other.
I mean, we saw that
teenage
with
girls,
American boy bands. Like, there was always kind of the one that like wasn't on par with the others.
No. And in the context of this world where there are like, it's not just like it's going to be like 5 members of the band forever. It's like they're constantly like retiring older members and bringing in new ones and bringing in trainees and bringing in like just new people and testing, like kind of like professional wrestling. They're testing out new characters. So it's incredibly competitive, and idols have to be very creative to find a niche audience. Like, cause there's something for everyone in this world, you know, so you have to find a way to be very attractive, but also be very attractive in a specific way to attract a particular type of guy. And, you know, it might seem, again, like you listen to the music, you watch the videos, you just think naturally, like, oh, this is made for, like, you know, 10-year-old girls. Like, and there are probably 10-year-old girls in the audience. Like, you know, that's, you know, not there, but primarily what you see when you like see most footage of idol concerts is guys our age.
Oh, God.
Which is fucking insane.
It is.
And many of these men are victims of Japan's well-publicized loneliness epidemic. Men who retreat into a world of fantasy relationships with idealized women where they cannot achieve any such relationship in real life.
What are they? There's a name for it. Why am I blanking this? Hikikomori.
Yes.
That's what they call it. It's people who just kind of like have given up and they just stay in their room watching anime and obsessing over fake stuff.
Which is a substantial problem in Japanese society. Now, far be it from us to criticize the problems of another country.
No, I was just saying they are a preview of what is going to happen in other first world countries very shortly.
Oh, for sure. And you know, and we definitely have tons and tons of people like this in America. But in Japan, it's gotten to the point where like it's going to seriously crash their economy in a very short period of time.
No, and that will happen to us. Mark my words. If this is what you can do, even with something as loose as like some random idol that you're supposed to worship, imagine what you can do when you have an AI literally catering to what they want. Each individual person wants.
No, we're already getting to a lot of that right now. And our only hope, Cal, you know, like you've done your part and, you know, bred. I have not yet, but like, you know, our only hope, Cal, is that the robots evolve fast enough that they can do the manual labor for us. Because I sure as shit ain't doing it when I'm 65. So all of this is pretty insane, but how did it all get started? Well, let's briefly in this section cover the history of idols in Japan. And like most things in popular music, the whole story begins with a visionary entrepreneur who also happened to be a monstrous pedophile.
Yeah. Why is that?
Again, Cal, we did not start this show with the concept of finding all the pedophiles who produce the great music that you know and love.
You just run into them by accident. You have to start to wonder, like, oh God, this is everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just it's just the way that things apparently run. But the guy that is credited with creating the idol industry in Japan is a man named Johnny Kitagawa. Now, Kitagawa seems like a really fascinating guy, apart from just take away the pedophilia, which we'll get to, unfortunately. But just like objectively, his biography, there's not a lot of info on this guy. He was incredibly rich and famous and powerful, but also notoriously secretive. Like, he never really gave interviews. He didn't allow his photograph to be taken. Like, the handful of photos that you see of him are like tabloid style paparazzi shit. But Johnny Kitagawa was born actually in Los Angeles in 1931 to Japanese parents, and they moved him back to Japan when he was 2 years old. And he seems to have spent a lot of his early life kind of bouncing between Japan and America, which when you consider that this is like the 30s, 40s, and 50s, that's a real interesting time to be doing that.
Yeah, no kidding.
I almost wonder if his parents moved him to Japan because like, it's like, son, shit is about to hit the fan.
Right. I don't think you're off base at all.
They just like see the way that shit was coming. They thought it was like
then they bring him back, and then Nuke gets dropped. Shit, wrong place. Go back.
We were wrong. You would have been better to stay in camp. We promised we weren't going to do the hack accents.
It's so hard not to. We both watched Showa era Godzilla. It's so hard.
But anyway, like, so he, Kitagawa, like, his formative years were in Japan, and then he ends up working in the U.S. for the U.S. Army, and he ends up teaching English kids ends up teaching English to kids who were orphaned by the Korean War. And then later he ends up in the U.S. Embassy. So he's got, like, connections on both sides of the Pacific. Now, in 1962, Kitagawa founded a talent agency called Johnny and Associates. It's just like, I think the name Johnny scans differently in Japanese than it does to...
No, it's just the room fucked you and me up for that name. I can't hear the name Johnny. We call it Johnny and Associates, a big company.
Well, like, you know, he is just as egotistical as Johnny in the room. So
it don't need a real name. Just call it Johnny. Johnny and Associates.
So the story goes that one day Johnny was walking through a park in Tokyo when he discovered 4 young boys playing baseball. He liked their looks so much that he decided to form a boy band out of them, and he called this group, predictably, Johnnies. It's like, they're all little versions of me.
We don't need bad names. Just call it Johnnies.
He just, like, write the word Johnny's on, like, his car and his house and his lunchbox and just everything. Like, Johnny's. And he's just like, it's like, is this how you sign your check, sir? Yes, Johnny's. Yeah. It says Johnny. So, like, that's like a very storybook tale of how he formed this band, Johnny's. Although I've heard another version that these guys were signed to another agency and he just poached them.
I could see that.
Hey,
you want more money? Come on over.
I personally believe that story, in part because, like, how do you see 4 guys playing baseball together? That's not enough guys to play baseball.
No.
Unless you only said, like, ooh, I love this team, but only the infield. The infield is very handsome. I'm going to take the first, second, third baseman and the shortstop, and we're going to have the greatest band in history. So, yeah, Johnny's came out in the 60s, and they were like a massive hit in Japan. And, you know, he just basically started repeating this formula over and over and over again. He would form these boy bands, scout out the talent, and he would, like, select these boys and personally train them and mold them and, like, basically just be like a one-man entertainment factory. And, like, all of these bands came to be known, like, collectively as Johnnies. Like, it became like a thing of, like, Xerox, where, like, the one thing is
weird,
synecdoche for the whole.
Oh, it's so weird.
Yeah. And this formula made Johnny incredibly rich. And he became one of the most powerful men in the Japanese entertainment industry.
Wow. Sounds like a stand-up guy. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with anything he's doing.
No, of course, Cal, except for this one little thing, which was the fact that he sexually abused hundreds, maybe as many as 1,000 young boys that were under his tutelage. And I'm sorry, I grant that that's not funny, but this happened for decades, going back to the beginning. Like, what he would do, and you guys probably already guessed this before we even got to it, right, is, you know, he would select these young boys who wanted to become famous. He would train them. He would teach them how to sing, how to dance. And he did it in a very specific way. Like, he would actually take all the boys that he was, like, kind of training, and he would put them in a dormitory where he was the only adult allowed inside.
Of course.
And, you know, like, at night, really bad things would happen. You can look up some of these stories if you really want to, but it's every bit as horrific as you think it is.
And what's fucked up is that's a tale as old as time.
It really is.
You see that same shit in sports. And...
Yeah, same. It's an exact same thing as, like, Jerry Sandusky,
yep,
or the countless Catholic priests, like, or like Lou Pearlman, you know, the guy behind NSYNC, like, just
Jimmy Savile,
like, very, very similar story that we are sadly used to. And, you know, like a lot of those cases, the Japanese media had a very hard time coming to terms with this. Kitagawa basically, he died in like I should know this, like 2019 or so. He died relatively recently. And, or I think it was 2017, sorry. So he died within like the past few years. And he really never faced any kind of justice in his lifetime. There was no Me Too moment for him.
Oh, sure.
Like, stories had come out. In the 80s, like, some of his former associates started actually coming forward with stories of what he had done very bravely, like, in the context of any culture, but especially Japanese culture, where there's a shame around sexual abuse. They came out and they told the truth, and the media completely ignored it.
Oh, I bet.
Like, it wasn't until, like, I think the BBC made a documentary about all of his crimes that, like, a lot of this shit finally started coming to light.
Just goes to show, man, if you grow up and you want to make art, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to grow up and create a stable of young boys who make art that you can in turn get money for, question that guy.
Yeah. If anyone ever comes up to you and says, hey, I want to make your kid famous,
question, yeah.
You need to punch that guy in the head right away. Like, that guy's up to no good.
Yep.
But while Johnny Kitagawa, as horrible as he was, he did lay the groundwork for the idol industry. But he didn't actually coin the term itself. That came from a 1963 French film called Cherchez l'idole, which was a big hit in Japan. Question for people who know this. Did I butcher the French term any worse than I've butchered Japanese? Which am I worse at pronouncing? French, Japanese, or Russian?
I would go on paper and just venture the French.
Okay.
I struggle with that language.
That's a people that I actually don't mind offending for some reason. I don't feel bad about slugging off the French because you're supposed to.
I don't
do
think
that.
the Japanese do either. Just,
No.
I'm playing a game called Persona 3. I'm only name dropping it for the 10 of you that know what that is.
Okay.
And they have a French exchange student in your Japanese school as one of the characters. And it is written so ham-fisted. It is so bad. It like, in any other, if it was any other two cultures, you'd have some, cancellation issue here.
Okay.
But since it's rag on the French and it's the Japanese doing it, no one cares.
No, they can get away with that. But regardless, this French film featured an attractive young singer named Sylvie Vartan, and singers who emulated Vartan's aesthetic came to be known as idols. And Cal, I'm going to show you a clip of Sylvie Vartan singing the song from this Cherchez l'idole movie, and I think you'll kind of see, and I know that like our audience can't see it per se unless you follow our YouTube channel and view our playlists, but I think you're going to kind of see how this might have set the template for the idol stuff that we're going to be talking about.
Ce soir je serai la plus belle pour aller danser. Danser, au mieux évincer toute celle que tu as aimée. Mais ce soir je serai la plus tendre quand tu me diras tous les mots que je veux entendre murmurés par toi.
What's your kind of impression of what?
Well, she's
doing?
almost doll-like.
Yeah.
Like you can see everything we've described so far of like the innocence, but there's somehow some like undertone of sexuality.
Yes.
I can see a sea of 30-year-old Japanese guys who see this foreign film in a theater and
Just
get
like
to that
fall in
part
love, yeah.
and just think we need to do more of that.
Mm-hmm. Like she really is kind of hitting this mark of like a very particular type of like beauty and perfection that's like it's not quite full sexy woman, but it's also not a girl.
She's not up there trying to be a femme fatale.
Yeah. It's a very thin, like tight line that she's walking there, but there is like a kind of innocent beauty to all of it.
Yeah, there's sexy and cute, and then there's cute but kind of sexy, and those are two very different things.
Mm-hmm. And just think, Cal, like without that woman in that performance, we wouldn't have Babymetal.
It's funny how the world works. The butterfly effect.
Now, the idol industry steadily grew throughout the 70s as more Japanese consumers had access to television, and the visual element of idols was thus easier to market. But the 1980s are considered the golden age of idols, as this was the period when idols dominated Japanese entertainment. So, some of you guys know Japan had like an economic miracle in the 1980s. Like they just absolutely started booming economically, like kind of the way that like China was in the early 2000s, to the point where it was kind of conventional wisdom that at that rate, they were going to overtake the US in like 20 years. Mm-hmm. Now, it didn't ultimately work out that way, but the 80s were just like a crazy booming time in Japan all around. And I feel like somehow that must have played into the growth of something as like frivolous and bizarre as idols.
Oh, for sure it did. Do you know how many times on this show we reference like it was the 70s or 80s, cocaine everywhere?
Yeah.
Now, they didn't have cocaine, but they're Japanese, and that's close enough.
No, they're high on, like, just, like, making, their stock prices inflating hand over fist. And, like, they're working 80-hour work weeks, getting pissed drunk with their bosses, and they're, like, silently masturbating over idols on TV, That's just that's just what happened.
Yeah.
Now, of particular note is a female idol group called Aniyanko Club, and this group was influential in a number of ways. So Aniyanko Club was founded by a guy named Yasushi Akimoto. Remember that name, people. And this group dressed in schoolgirl uniforms, and they built like an entire concept around like this club is a school club.
Right. Are they the OGs of the schoolgirl uniform is sexy, or had that trope been around?
I don't actually know. Like, I assume it had been around in some form or another, but this is the first time that a Japanese idol group had picked up on that as a concept. And I think the conceit is that like they ran with it a little bit further, like they tried to like pass this off as they're actually in school.
Sure.
And kind of commiserate with that, it marks this shift from kind of professional sounding and looking idols, like people who like really were at the top of their class in singing and dancing, to like more kind of amateurish ones. Like they're not necessarily the best singers, the best dancers.
Yeah, as long as you're cute.
As long as you're cute, as long as you have personality, as long as you like are, they're really like kind of like the prototype to influencers. Like it's, even like with this podcast, we're not the greatest at anything we do, but our personalities come across.
Yeah, there's enough people that seem to like us.
Yeah, like for whatever
reason.
Don't know
why.
Yeah. Hopefully they're not like masturbating on a Tokyo subway station, but you never know. But
he's going to say that tracks.
But they kind of like formed this group around like a school concept. And one thing that allowed them to do was they introduced the concept of graduation, whereby older members of the group would be retired and replaced with new ones.
Now that is amazing. That's innovative.
Yes.
You have it designed into the whole lore how you can get rid of some of your aging members.
Yeah. It's not like they used to just say, oh, this person is retired, Or
they just cling on way longer than is comfortable.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, there are some idols that like make it into their like 30s or 40s. Like it's a wide spectrum, this thing. But generally, most idol groups, they're prized for their youth. Yeah. So like, at a certain point, you got to go full Leo DiCaprio and just like cut them off when they're not providing that anymore.
You're like 35. We're having a real hard time pretending you're in school. This isn't Grease the musical. I don't know.
Getting held back. Yeah. So a lot of groups would use this concept of graduation because it's not like you're being cast off. It's a celebration.
You're moving on to bigger and better.
Yeah, like it's like a big ceremony for the girls that graduate.
You get married to one of your stalkers. It'll be great.
Yeah. But if the 1980s were the idol golden age, the following decade is known as the idol winter period. In the 1990s, Japan's economy slowed down significantly, and whether coincidentally or not, the country became less enamored with idols, preferring more professional artists instead.
Are we getting there in America? Like, think of the 90s. We had all these goofy boy bands. And then shit kind of got harder. Like, Kendrick Lamar got popular. Like,
you know, I hope so, Cal, because there's still a lot of garbage, but like we said in another episode, any day now. Like, I
don't feel like people are loving the bubblegum pop. Just the millennial bands going away.
I will concede that like the amount of bubblegum in music has trended down significantly compared to when we were kids.
Right.
Like, something like Mandy Moore would be very difficult to pass off today.
I think even stuff that like was big with the college kids, like the millennial shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you hear as many feel good anthems of the summer anymore. I think we're all kind of over it.
Because that shit was awful.
Yep.
Like, you know, what you hear now is a lot of like, I'm lonely and sad and my boyfriend is mean type pop songs, which like, you know, that's appealing to a lot of people's real emotions.
Or even the club shit.
Yeah.
Like Brat was all about, I'm going to like be as materialistic as possible and do drugs in the club and fuck everything else.
No, and it's and there's an edge to that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's respectable in that sense. So maybe we are moving a little bit away from that kind of bubblegumminess. But you know, I only bring that up just to say that like, have hope, guys, because sometimes this happens. Sometimes society decides that artistic integrity actually matters. And for a brief fleeting moment, somebody's criteria for what should be elevated will roughly coincide with how much talent they have.
Nice. Please, let's do it soon. Come on, Gen Z.
Yeah, like sometime, like any day now. But alas, idol culture would not stay dormant forever. The 21st century saw a massive comeback, much of it driven by the rise of the most ambitious and dominant idol group of all time, a group called AKB48. Yeah, we played like a minute of that and it felt like 5 minutes.
I got it. All I could think.
I was like saying, okay, the song's like almost over now. Then you pause it, it's like at like
no,
1:30.
man. You know, all I could think. The crazy part to me is like, porn exists, right?
Yeah.
So why bother with putting up with this part of it?
Okay, so we watched the video of that song, which is called Heavy Rotations, and you know they are dressed in like very skimpy, like kind of lingerie, like sleepover outfits, and these are very young girls. But don't get it twisted.
I do think you're clearly supposed to care about them as characters.
Yes,
because otherwise you would just go watch porn.
No, like it's the sexuality is part of the appeal. It's a latent underpinning for sure, but I think it's a lot more than that. It's about feeling emotionally connected to somebody. And somebody who's innocent and pure and not world weary the way that adults are. Because like if you tried to do this with a 35-year-old woman, it wouldn't work because you know that she knows too much shit.
Right.
That she'd be able to see through half of the shit that you say, and that she has had life experiences which are going to dull that like pure radiating joy.
No, she'll do the whole dance and then she'll get off and she'll smoke a big cigarette. Like, hey, it's been fun talking to you. I gotta go fuck the producer to stay in this band.
Which, you know, like, if you're a real person who's like mature and, you know, securely attached and developed, you're gonna come to admire those things about like women who are also mature and have real life experiences and a perspective. But if you're just like some miserable, shitty, you know, like otaku, like you're trying to get the thing that you missed out on when you were a kid, or the thing that you think is missing in your life, the thing that you feel you need because you can't provide it to a real woman somehow. Real relationships are messy and complicated, but you doting over an idol is really easy because like she doesn't have to talk back to you.
No, yeah, by nature she will agree with everything you say.
Yeah.
Because you're not even... She's not a real person, really.
Yeah. That's the genius of all of it from a marketing perspective. So, AKB48, they were founded by a producer named Yasushi Akimoto. Remember him? I told you he'd become relevant.
All right. That was a quick payoff.
What was he famous for, Cal?
I already was. Sorry.
It's a pass-fail quiz.
No, you just showed me a bunch of scantily clad Japanese ladies. I am distracted, dude.
Fair enough. He founded Aniyanko Club.
All right.
So, like, not only did he make a shit ton of money from that, but he made probably enough money to, like, build Japan several new islands from the money he made from this.
No, he's doing an Epstein thing nowadays. That's right.
Now, I should say, as far as I know, Yasushi Yakimoto is not a pedophile.
At least one of these guys probably isn't.
Yeah.
Because, we all love just as much as sex. I was going somewhere with this. We all love money.
That was,
and at least one of these guys is clearly in it just for the money. There has to be one of them, right?
No, that's my message to all aspiring horny producers out there is, like, eventually your predatory abuse of your own victims is going to get in the way of your bank account.
Right.
Like, how much money does Epstein have right now? Zero.
If Epstein had not been a pedo, he literally could have several private islands to do whatever crazy Hunger Games shit he wanted.
Yeah. Dude, like,
and instead he wasted it on underage women massages. What a waste.
It's a shame, Cal. It's a crying shame. So let's talk about the name AKB48. Well, the AKB comes from Akihabara district in Tokyo, where the band comes from. Do you know much about Akihabara?
Actually, a little. And again, it's only because of the Persona games I mentioned.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a cutting edge technology district? Like, you go there if you want to buy electronics, that's where you go.
It's like that. It's like the main hub for, like, electronics, anime, and, like, idol shit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like every, like,
it's like Spencer's, except a whole chunk of a city.
Yeah. It's like Spencer's mixed with, like, every stereotype you have about Japanese culture is going to be, like, kind of magnified in Akihabara. So that's where the AKB comes from. The 48 comes from the fact that they originally had 48 members. I say originally because it grew over time.
At what point are you not a band but a cult? I must ask.
That is a very good question when it comes to AKB48, but all this idol shit. This is honestly more cult than band count.
I know, it's like those guys that came here and rounded up a bunch of TikTok influencers and basically made a cult. Mm-hmm. They're kind of just doing this.
Like, this is really just the analog version of that.
Yeah.
I find this so fast. This Akimoto guy is a marketing genius. So what he did was AKB48 was originally divided into teams A, K, and B, each of which had 16 members. Now, what this did was it allowed them to perform every single day and sometimes in multiple cities at once.
That's fucked.
Like, imagine...
I'm seeing the K Squad tonight.
Yeah, like, imagine you go to see Metallica, but it's just like Lars and Kirk, or just Lars. like, you just see part of the whole, but, like, it works well enough because they're all, like, lip syncing anyway.
Right, I was saying, they're just putting play on a track.
You know, but what this does is it allows to just absolutely maximize fan exposure at all times. Like, if you're a hardcore AKB48 fan and you have enough yen in your bank account, you could see them perform every single night of your life. So they really just milked the shit out of this. That's
why I know I'm cut from a different cloth, because what you just described is like a Black Mirror episode to me. That's horrifying.
No, this is like a lot of people's real lives, man.
Oh, I had to go see that fucking song again.
So, over the years, they expanded AKB48. They grew in membership. And they eventually had as many as 120 members. And I guarantee there were probably some people who could tell you a salient fact about every single one. Like, it's like really hardcore baseball fans.
Oh, yeah, human Pokemon.
Yeah, that know, like, everything down to, like, players in single A, you know? And as AKB48 became more successful, Akimoto created sister groups that would represent other regions of Japan.
Sleeper cells, I call them.
They were sleeper cells. like there was a JKT48, SNH48, BEJ48. I can't remember where all those individual subunits come from, but like it's just like if you did this in America, like let's say you did like the Backstreet Boys. Where are the Backstreet Boys from? Who cares? Let's say New Jersey. I have no clue if that's true. I don't
You
care.
are my fire.
Okay, let's say the Backstreet Boys are from New Jersey. We run a professional music podcast. Then you would do a Memphis one called Y'all Backstreet Boys. And then like a San Francisco one called Backstreet Bras or something like that. Like you just like
Do a Texas one called Barbecue Boys.
Yeah, Barbecue Boys. You know, like the main is like Backstreet Boys. You hear?
Yeah.
like you just do
Backwoods Boys.
Yeah. And then so they did this for like all of Japan, and then they did it for like Taiwan and just Korea and like China. Like they just like there's just no end to it.
Backstreet Chicos. That's the
Backstreet Chicos. Their experimental Latin spin-off.
Yeah.
The Cajun Backstreet Boys. I'm sure there's already an AI generated song there. Now, another major innovation that AKB48 had was the concept of idols you can meet. Now, what that means is this group regularly conducts what are called akushikai, or handshake events, where fans stand in line for hours for the opportunity to shake hands and take pictures with their favorite idols. Now, this isn't
totally foreign to us. We do meet and greets at American shows.
Yeah, but like a meet and greet isn't like the core of the band. And another thing that like most bands don't do that AKB48 does is they don't sell tickets to these meet and greets the way that you normally would on like Ticketmaster or something. The way that you get these tickets is they are hidden in CD singles, like literally like Willy Wonka style.
That's genius.
Like, so you
That's
have to
fucking genius.
And I'm pretty sure the way they did it was like, it's not, tickets aren't in every single CD.
Right.
So you gotta buy a ton of them. And if you buy multiple ones, if you have more tickets, like then you get more access. You get to spend not just 30 seconds with them, but 2 minutes with them.
That is diabolical.
It is. I'm only scratching the surface of the kind of shit they did. Like,
this is straight up like antagonistic to the spirit of music and art in general. This is like Kiss's wet dream. Like Kiss couldn't have thought of this if they wanted.
Dude, like Gene Simmons is like pounding a wall, wondering why he didn't come up with this. Like it's the most like just nakedly capitalistic thing I've ever heard of.
You're not buying the song. You're buying a bunch of CDs to maybe 1 in 100 chance meet this chick.
Yeah. It's very common in idol culture and in this group for fans to buy like multiple copies of the same CD single, you know, and of course, like they release like tons of different versions of songs and different versions of albums. Like there'll be like 8 different versions of one album. And if you're a real fan,
yeah, you got them all.
You didn't buy them all. You didn't buy all of my CDs. Don't you love me?
Dude, why is this not happening here? I don't want to give anyone ideas, but like, you know how like DVD sales and Blu-ray sales are plummeting?
Yeah.
Do this with that and get your chance to meet.
That. Like Wes Anderson fans would do that.
Yeah.
If you had like 5 different versions of the Phoenician scheme that are all like, well, this one I cut 3 frames out of this scene.
Right.
And this one, like I had a slightly like different filter, like his fans would buy that shit, and like the movie industry might be saved.
All right, well, I'm glad no one of note cares about this podcast because we just gave them an evil idea.
Yeah, like we could save Hollywood if we wanted to. Another like evil thing they did is they have this like thing they call it an election system, where, as I said, like if you're a fan of a particular idol group, you don't just love the whole group. You love like your Oshi, your particular favorite one. Well, the way that members of AK-48 move up within this group is it's based off of CD sales. So you can vote for your favorite member of the band by buying the CD with them on the cover of it. And that kind of determines like who gets to be in the next music video, who gets to be like on the front center of the stage rather than just in the back.
Doesn't the fact that Pokemon took off in Japan and started it makes so much sense all of a sudden? They had this shit nailed of like, man, people really love collecting. Holy fuck. Like,
No, they just like,
once you tell them that there's a limited number in this series, they just seem to not stop until they get them all.
like just like they're really just like going after that instinct just as hard as humanly possible and not caring that like married men go bankrupt, like spending this kind of money on their idol. People have like lost their jobs because they're so obsessed with, with idol groups.
Yeah, this guy is, I'm sure he's rolling in it. This whole scheme is, I just wish I had thought of it.
I know, right? If you like, Cal, like, I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but we gotta like cruise by a middle school at some point and see how many people we can rope. We're not gonna have sex with them because we're disciplined.
Yeah.
We just told you we only care about money.
I'm a good guy. I'm not gonna have sex with them.
No,
I'm just gonna ruin their entire life for my
just gonna
financial
ruin
gain.
their lives, and make a small nation's GDP's worth of money in the process.
I really want an island, and this is just all about that.
No. AKB48 are just a massively successful group. They have sold more singles than any group in Japanese history, and worldwide, they are the 7th best-selling female group of all time. And for a little bit of context, number 8 is Destiny's Child.
And they did it all without writing a single song anyone knows or cares about.
Well,
Because
not
never
anyone
the
on
point.
this side of the Atlantic. Or the
I don't know,
Pacific.
man. I just feel like everything we talked about, even their super fans really actually care about the songs. I think they're a means to the end.
They will tell you that they do. They will. I mean, I've read the comments on a lot of like idol music videos, and a lot of it is like, I have nostalgia for like when this was a hit when I was in high school.
Oh, sure.
Kind of a thing. Like it doesn't matter how bad a song is, as long as it was big when you were young, you're going to form an emotional bond to it.
That's fair. That's why people still like Boom Boom Pow.
Yeah, So like now, like AKB48 would definitely not have been as successful if they chose the same route as like the Residents with, in terms of never releasing their image. Like it doesn't work without any of the visual, but I don't think the music is totally inconsequential to people, even though, as we've already proven, it's not good or memorable at all. Now, during the 2010s, the continued success of AKB48 triggered a massive boom in the idol industry, to the point where that decade came to be known as the idol warring period. They've got all these like really like dramatic names.
I was gonna say.
The Japanese media is very sensationalist.
Yeah, I lost both my parents in the idol wars.
At one point, there were as many as 3,000 female idol groups alone, with over 10,000 performers. In other words, the competition was extreme.
So that is like influencers.
Yes.
That's where we're at now with influencers. It's so saturated.
No, it was very, very saturated. And you could see why. Like, a lot of legitimate Japanese businessmen with capital had the exact same reaction. We just said, like, holy fuck, he did what?
Yeah.
He's making this much money?
Why have I not created a stable of underage women?
Yeah, it's literally just like a old school gold rush, And, idols, like, they are still popular to this day. And naturally, they're incorporating social media. They're incorporating TikTok. AI, of course, is figuring big into the idol world. But we need not talk about, like, all that just yet.
Yep, I won't be a doomer today. I'll try.
Yeah. This episode has been depressing enough. So with that in mind, let's move on to some more depressing stuff. Let's talk about the controversies in idol culture.
There was controversies?
Just a bit. We've already mentioned the fact that the primary demographic for idol fandom tends to be men who are significantly older than the younger girls they worship. But this worship comes with a set of expectations. Idols are expected to radiate purity and innocence in everything they do. Female idols in particular must embody the sort of chastity and submission that is consistent with traditional Japanese values. So, Cal, I already showed you this clip a long time ago, but we're going to watch it in real time right now. This is a song by Aniyanko Club called Sailor Fuku wo Nukusanide. And as this song carries on, I want you to read the English translated subtitles that somebody was kind enough to put to the world as a public service. And before we do that, Cal, I just want to kind of describe the scene that these girls are performing in. Like, this is a very popular group, and they are performing on a very large stage in front of what looks like a very large audience with some very just mainstream looking people sitting in their chairs, clapping very earnestly at the performance of this song.
Don't take off my sailor uniform. You mustn't now. Please, be patient. Don't take off my sailor uniform. No, you mustn't. Not here. Girls always want to know about doing it. I study hard every day. Why are you doing this, Phoenix? I want to have sex before any of my friends. But I'm too much of a coward to go past a kiss.
Remember, these girls are like 15.
I want to have sex. Like they talk about in the magazines. But giving everything to you would be a waste. So I won't.
Very good.
Oh, a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
So, like Nick said, they're uncomfortably young. That's the main source of my issue here.
Yeah. I mean, even if,
but even if they're not, like,
it's just a weird.
Yeah, it's such a bubblegummy song, and you've literally got like Nick saying like the parents in the crowd like clapping along, going like, "Oh,
yeah,
what the fuck?"
I mean, you know, people thought like Britney was too sexual with like "Oops, I Did It Again," but like at least it is in the subtext, you know.
You know, I'm not going to pretend I know a ton about this, but there is the way that the Japanese culture looks at sex. I just think is different fundamentally than the West.
Yeah, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on that either, but it's both like more and less repressed, it feels like to me.
Yeah, it's like, both. I mean, there's stuff in like Dragon Ball I'll pick on. The original manga where you're going like, this was for kids?
Yeah.
Like openly sexual stuff, not subtle.
Like
at one point the old turtle hermit makes Bulma show him her tits to get a Dragon Ball. Mm-hmm. And then the pig Oolong roofies Bulma in one of the chapters. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, straight up, he wants to, like, cop a feel while she's asleep. And this is just like a haha, like played for laughs plot line.
Yeah, it's not like a nightmare story.
Yeah, and you're going like, this is a children's manga, supposedly.
Yeah, it's like they don't hide it from them, but they also want to preserve this expectation that, like, no, young Japanese girls should be chaste. They should wait until marriage. They shouldn't have sex with too many guys, you know, which are kind of familiar to us in the West.
Yeah.
You know, but like, it's really essential to idol culture that this is maintained in these young girls, because again, like, the whole purpose of this is for you to be able to project your fantasies onto them. Now, the expectation of chastity is taken seriously to the point where many idols are contractually forbidden to go on any dates with anyone. In 2013, Minami Minagishi, a popular member of AKB48, caused a massive scandal when she was caught spending the night with a boy. Minami was demoted to trainee status within the group. Basically, that means that like you're the same as like someone who like just got there.
Sure,
like,
yeah,
you're demoted to single A.
Your
essentially.
practice squad.
Yeah, you're on the practice squad. Where previously she was like one of the big ones in a lot of the music videos. So she was demoted to trainee status within the group, and she released a tearful apology video on YouTube where she voluntarily shaved her head in an act of penance. Now this became like it was her like crying and shaving her head that like became the thing that this got picked up in like Western media and became like kind of a worldwide viral story. But like if you watch that video of her releasing her apology, like it's pretty heartrending. Like she is genuinely sorry for the people that she feels like she offended, and she is like feeling such shame and wants desperately to get back into the good graces of this group and its fandom that she's willing to like just go to like really horrible lengths.
Where does the music stop and the cult begins?
I'm telling you, Cal, like it's really not unfair to call this whole thing a cult. We're turning into the Sounds Like a Cult podcast, but they'd have a fucking layup with this one if they haven't already. It's really fucked up shit. And to be fair, this was a controversy within Japan. Like there were people who thought that but she deserved to be punished, like she broke the rules. And there were a lot of people who thought like, no, this is like taking it way too far. And there was another case from around this same time where a 17-year-old idol, and I'm sorry I don't have her name, she was caught going into a boy's hotel room. We don't even know like if she like even slept with them. Like,
sure.
Like who knows what happened? They could have just like watched TV or smoked weed or whatever. But it was enough of a scandal that it actually forced the entire group to disband. And the agency that was running this group sued the 17-year-old and won.
You fucked up our business.
Yeah, she did in a sense cost them potentially billions,
right?
Like because like, and
I'm not saying right like this is morally right.
No,
I'm just saying I get the argument that they're making.
No, from a purely economic perspective, like by failing to just like have this like ridiculously like virginal life, she like some guy like lost his house, maybe, probably not. But the dating ban isn't the only form of pressure that idols face. Indeed, idols' lives are meticulously controlled by their talent agencies, who constantly instruct them on where to go, what to say, and how to present themselves in public and in private. Idols often don't even know what their daily schedules are going to look like until the last minute, making it impossible to live a normal life. And this is probably the part that's going to be like least surprising to anyone listening, but it's just worth reiterating. You are presenting to the world that you're living this like rock star glamorous lifestyle. Like that's part of the appeal of idols too, is that like, it's like, oh my God, they're wearing the best clothes. They got the best purse. They're driving the best cars. Mm-hmm. They're just living like Hannah Montana, this like perfect lifestyle. And actually their lives suck ass.
Right.
Like you'd rather like work for a McDonald's in Japan than work for one of these idol groups.
Right. I know I'm driving it into the ground, but like influencers.
Yeah.
I mean, when your life becomes like, I got to keep this view count up.
No.
I cannot imagine that's fun.
You can't rest as a human being.
Yep.
When you have to be on at every
I got to pretend to have a Lamborghini next week.
Yeah. So, and this obviously just creates a lot of mental stress. And just as one example of how damaging this can be, in 2018, an idol named Hanoka Amoto died by suicide after just years of unbearable pressure. Her family sued the talent agency, and thankfully this judge was a little bit more of a person because he sided with the family.
Nice.
And furthermore, the illusory sense of closeness that idol culture engenders can create some unintended but entirely predictable dangers. There have been multiple examples of idols being harmed by fans. In 2014, for example, 2 members of AKB48 were attacked by a man wielding a handsaw. And in 2016, an idol named Mayu Tamita was stabbed more than 20 times by a deranged fan after she blocked that guy on Twitter.
Wish I could say it was surprising.
No, it really isn't. But like, it's something that you're not thinking of if you're like a little girl and you want to become an idol.
Oh yeah, them. No, yeah, them. I do feel horrible. The agency knows this is coming.
Yeah, of course they do. Like the whole idea of like a handshake event, like, you know, you're exposing these little girls, your product, to the public. Not only just is that bad from like a germ theory perspective, like, because like I feel these idols must just get colds all the fucking time, but it's just like we just know like 1 out of every 1,000 people is just fucking insane.
Right.
Like, it's going to be very dangerous to expose somebody to that. They go through some like really weird lengths to sell idols sometimes. I read about one instance where AKB48 would sell what they called tasteable photos.
Oh, God.
And the types of tastes that were included were fruit, various kinds of fruit, as well as quote-unquote body odor.
Oh, God.
Like, we're really...
What the fuck?
Like, even by the standards of this group, we're crossing some lines here.
You know, I'm having deja vu that I've ranted about this before in some episode.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how hot you think she is. Why would you want that? That's not like the good part of the being with a woman experience.
Yeah, well, you know, not like it's not.
No, I'm not saying I hate all these. I'm just saying, like, if I had to pick the part I want to take home and have a little piece of, the smell is not it.
Like, I would relish that in an actual woman that I loved and was intimate with.
Right,
the
in the
idea of
moment.
a stranger is really insane. Like, I don't know. I think Emma Stone is really hot. I don't walk around wondering what Emma Stone's pussy
I just remembered
smells
it
and
was.
tastes like.
It was Kid Rock, and it was when he had
Oh,
that
yeah.
guy on
Oh, my
Howard
God.
Stern going
Oh, my
like,
God.
so I could smell his fingers, and I'm like, fucking gross, dude.
That was, oh my God. You see, we're not that different from the Japanese, Cal.
No.
No, like if that guy could buy a scratch off tasteable photo of Pamela Anderson,
He'd
he
go
would
for
have.
it.
Yeah. You know, I feel like a lot of this story, Cal, is like any culture would have made money off of this. The Japanese just decided to do it.
Yeah.
You know, like they had the balls to do this thing, and not enough people shamed them for it. So now that we've given you an overview of idol culture, it's time to talk about the specific idol group that's relevant to our story, who are, of course, Sakura Gakuin. Now, from what I can tell, this group was reasonably popular, but not quite on the level of AKB48 or some of their A-tier competitors like Morning Musume or Momoiro Clover Z. Just got to shout out, you know, the fact that I know more than one idol group. They did, however, inadvertently end up changing the course of heavy metal history. Sakura Gakuin was founded in 2010 by the Amuse Talent Agency. The name translates to Cherry Blossom Academy, and, like Anianko Club, the whole gimmick of this group was to resemble a Japanese middle school.
The hottest time period of a person's life.
Yeah, yes, aren't middle school aged girls just a joy to be around all the time?
Middle school is literally like the worst time of the human experience.
Yeah.
Fuck middle schoolers, all of them, boy or girl.
No, like you got to be pretty deranged to like look at that and think like, oh, it's so cute and adorable. So Sakura Gakuin, whom we will hereafter refer to as SG because I'm tired of saying the name all the time, usually contained around 10 or 12 members at any given moment. But like many idol groups, they also had subunits which could appeal to specific fans and show off the talents of particular members. In the case of SG, these subunits took the form of after-school clubs whose songs invoked the subject matter of their real-life counterparts. So Cal, when we played that SG video like a while back, you saw them in like at different points in different costumes. performing different songs. That's what this is about.
Okay.
Like, so different. So like, now we're going to have this club come up and like, oh, look at that. It's the cooking club.
I like pop music, but only if it's cooking themed. I have a very, very delicate music taste.
Yeah. Well, we're bringing that guy into the stadium.
Yeah.
Like by hook or by crook, we're going to find that guy, give him a reason to come out and watch us.
This song is hamburger themed. You'll love it.
So for example, you had a group called Twinkle Stars. And this was a club where all the members dressed up as cheerleaders and twirled batons. That was their gimmick. They twirled batons a lot. And also they have a song called Dear Mr. Socrates, which I just think is really funny. Dear Mr. Socrates. Look it up. We're not going to play it. Another club was called Midi Patti, and this was a cooking club where the members dressed as pastry chefs with color-coded neckties. Another club was called Scoopers. This was a journalism club who only released one song, but was frequently used by the band to kind of interview other SG members. So like if they had to do like a skit where you wanted to interview other members of SG, the Scoopers were the ones to do it.
Okay.
Like you can see this is like an all-encompassing theme.
Yeah.
Like they made like TV shows. They hired a guy to be the principal of this school. They hired another guy to be the teacher that would be in all the skits where they were in class. Like it was a fleshed out concept.
It's taking the Backstreet Boys to the next level.
Yeah, like if you show the back streets where they're
what
from.
What if we wanted to know about their Backstreet coaches, their Backstreet teachers, and the clubs they were in?
They're Backstreet drug dealers,
This is the weed club.
Another club was called Sleep Piece. This was a quote-unquote go-home club, which is designed to appeal to kids who don't belong to any after-school clubs and they just have to go straight home after school.
The slackers.
Yeah, we were the go-home club.
If there was Japanese stoners, they would appeal to them.
Yeah. So this subunit wore pajamas in their sets and mostly sang covers of 80s anime songs.
All right. Makes sense.
You also had a club that was a tennis club that incorporated tennis rackets into their act, because why not? You had a science club called Logica. You had a pro wrestling club. This is my personal favorite, Cal. You had Koi Baibu, or the purchasing club, whose sole purpose was to promote Sakura Gakuin merchandise. Like, literally, they would, like, remember that Jake Paul song, Buy My Merch?
Yeah, it's that.
These guys were doing it a decade before. Like,
So they do the whole concert, and at the very end, these guys come out and are like, buy these stuff. Buy these stuff.
Like, make sure you buy the Sakura Gakuin mug. Like, that was like, it's literally that. But there was one club that stood out even from these confounding examples. In a concept dreamed up by amused producer Kei Kobayashi, 13-year-old Suzuka Nakamoto and 11-year-olds Moa Kikuchi and Yui Mizuno formed the Heavy Music Club. Because really, Cal, what's more normal than that? Don't all 13-year-old girls that want to form a club about metal?
I kind of fucking love it. It makes sense.
Yes, indeed.
I guess I'm by that. They'd be my Oshi. Yes.
Oh, for sure. But see, like that's the genius of this, Cal. Is like it's literally something for everyone.
I wonder how abstract it could get. Like what's a weird like this is the bagpipe club to do like Scottish J-pop.
I've seen an idol group that performs in like Jason from Friday the 13th masks.
Okay,
it gets weird.
They should make a grave robbers one, and that's the theme that they
might have rob that, graves. Cal. There's all kinds of weird shit, Cal. Like I can probably dig up some more for the next episode if you really want to, but there are so many fucking weird idols. And like, again, this is the idol warring period,
right?
Like everything, they're throwing everything against the wall, just to see if it's going to stick.
You three, you're on the B team. You're the taxidermy club. And we got to come up with a thing for you.
You are the bass fishing club. Now, of course, the Heavy Music Club is what eventually took on the name Babymetal. And it's with the true origin story of our heroes that we'll pick back up in Babymetal Part 2.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a lot.
I thought I knew about Japanese idols, but I guess I didn't, because you sparked a bunch of wish I had thought of it ideas.
You know, Cal, like everyone else, only more so.
Yeah,
like it's just,
right.
I admit that I know nothing about this people or their culture, and I'm making fun of like bits and pieces to be sure, but like you got to admire the creativity and the audacity behind so much of this, because as we're going to explore in the next episode, the Japanese take on heavy metal is equally creative and strange, and they did all kinds of things with it that we would never think to do. And it's an incredibly rich story. They're not just copying Motley Crue or Metallica. They are developing their own spin on all of this shit. And all that is directly relevant to everything that became Babymetal.
It's like how a wine snob can tell you probably what country that wine came from just from a taste.
Yeah.
That's what I am like with metal. And yeah, Japanese have their own thing going on.
Yeah. And it's what a beautiful thing that it is. But we're going to get into all of that in the next episode. So, okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. I know that it's been a while, but I think I hope that you'll agree that it was somewhat worth the wait. This isn't all of the reason, but part of the reason we were a little bit late to this was I took a vacation recently. I was in Canada for a week, and I only mentioned that, Cal, because I'm actually reviving my long dormant blog, Ghost on the Highway. And I wanted to give that a little plug at the end of this episode, because I'm going to be putting something out within the next couple of days. So it'll definitely be out by the time this episode comes out. So ghostonthehighway.blog. If you like my words but not my voice, and you want to hear me write about traveling the continent by car, definitely check it out.
I was curious if you were going to do something with that trip.
Yeah,
Glad you did.
Yeah, I'm currently like outlining it, and I'm gonna hopefully have it come out in the next couple of days. So yeah. But other than that, thank you guys so much for listening. And let me tell you, if you ever want to meet us in person and shake our hands, there's only one way to do it, and that's to not only give us a 5-star rating on Spotify, but you really have to do that as many times as possible. By which I mean, you should be buying separate phones every single time.
VPNs. VPN in over and over and over.
Don't VPN in. They'll figure that out.
Oh,
you gotta buy a new Samsung every time, because one of those Samsungs will have a physical ticket where we'll fly you out to Wisconsin, and then we'll shake your hand, and then you got to go home.
That's
right
it.
Afterwards.
I'm not even going to buy you beer. You shake our hand, you move on.
Yeah. But definitely give us a rating. Share us with your friends, your family, with random strangers that you meet. Spread the word, spread the turd.
Yeah, get us our first Japanese fan.
All right. We actually do have at least one Japanese fan that I know of.
Hey, Japanese fan, you email us.
Yeah, he's actually a German guy that lived in Japan, but he was the one who suggested this whole episode. So I'm doing this for him. Yeah, we will see you next time, and arigato.
Said we're not doing the accent.